Greetings. This is Professor Welch again, and we're continuing on with our lectures in the area of police report writing. On the last recording, I referred to some various concepts that you need to be aware of. I call it the 5 W's and 1 H. There was a poem written about, I have 6 lovely friends. They taught me all I knew. Their names are who, what, why, when, where, and how. Anyway, that's the same with journalism and also the same in police writing. Very, very important. The first W would be who, W-H-O. Who we talk about in police report writing are victims, suspects, and witnesses. Those are the persons that we will be talking to and doing reports. Many people think in our country that the suspects have all the rights and the victims have no rights. And there are various victim rights bills and various legislation in that area. But the 3 people to remember when you're writing reports: who is the victim, who is the suspect or suspects, who are the witnesses. They're lay witnesses, which just give ordinary opinions, and there's expert witness, who there's various rules on qualifying an expert, such as a physician, to give expert opinion. Then what? That's the next W. What? And this talks about the elements of a crime. For example, in burglary, it's the breaking and entering into the dwelling house of another, and at common law it had to be at nighttime, with the intent to commit a felony or petty larceny therein. So you'd look first, the first element would be breaking. Maybe the window was open and there was no breaking. And then you'd look, was there an entering? And then you'd look, is it the dwelling house of another? Or was it simply a church and not the dwelling house? You could say, well, that's the house of God. Or modernly, they've said statutory burglary would include about any structure. So you go through each element. And in law studies, you're told to underline the elements of a crime. So elements are very important to report on each element. One time I heard about someone who said that they saw someone at a store, such as Macy's, take something, take some fingernail polish and clean her fingernails. But then when it came to trial, the clerk said, no, I didn't actually see the taking. So then they couldn't establish that element. So as a police officer, you want to make sure every element of the crime is established. The next W is where. If you have the exact location or an address, if you know that, that is important to put. Or to put the address, if you know the specific address. Or if you don't know that, maybe the area, such as cross streets or what that it is near. And then the next W is when. What was the time frame? When did this happen? So that is very important. And then the next W is why, W-H-Y. If you know, do you know the motive? Do you know why someone did that? And then the last interrogatory term is the H, how. What was the modus operandi of the crime? And you could say, was it done with a knife? Was it done with a gun? And so forth. So those are very important terms when you are writing police reports. Another very important term is the important concept of probable cause in our legal system. Probable cause consists of trustworthy facts or knowledge sufficient for a reasonable person to believe that the suspect has committed or is about to commit a crime. Probable cause requires a higher degree of certainty than a reasonable suspicion. This is determined by the totality of the circumstances. Probable cause is a requirement found in the Fourth Amendment and must usually be made by the officer before an arrest or search warrant unless there are exigent circumstances to justify a warrantless search or seizure. Probable cause can be established through an officer's own knowledge of particular facts and circumstances, or through an informant giving a reliable third-party information by a reliable third-party informant, and through information plus corroboration by an officer. So probable cause is very important in our system, and it's important that you need to show probable cause on a search warrant based on a confidential informant. Details must be given on the warrant with specific facts known by the informant. Many people say, well, what's a concise definition of probable cause? That is a reasonable likelihood they are going to find contraband or discover an illegal activity. Okay, this will be the end of the second tape on this police writing series, and then we will continue on in the next.